So, they finally started asking questions, didn't they? The investigators, the curious people, the ones who believed they could figure out what really happened to you by digging through your past. But here's the beautiful part, the part that feels almost poetic. No one wanted to speak. Not one person. They contacted the friends who betrayed you, the partners who hurt you, the family who left you behind, the coworkers who tried to block your path. Every person who once believed they had broken you. And do you know what they got in return? Silence, awkward laughter, fast excuses, then the same words again and again, like a warning no one could ignore. Good luck. You'll need it. Think about that for a second. The same people who once had control over you, who made you doubt yourself, who walked away as if you meant nothing, who smiled while causing pain, who celebrated your lowest moments. Those same people suddenly had nothing to say when your name came up, because they noticed something changing. They felt the energy shift. They realized too late that the person they tried to destroy never stayed broken. And now they're scared. Not because of anything you did, but because of what you became. Revenge is loud. It's easy to see coming. But growth is quiet, sharp, and unstoppable. It says nothing until the whole game has already changed. They thought they knew you. They thought they had you understood, labeled, and forgotten. But they were completely wrong. They thought you were weak because you cried. They thought you had lost because you became quiet. They thought you were broken because you stopped reacting. But what they never understood, what they couldn't see through their pride and narrow thinking, was that you were not falling apart. You were rebuilding. You were taking every betrayal as a lesson. You were turning every painful moment into strength. You were learning how the system worked by surviving its worst side. Then, piece by piece, you recreated yourself from the inside out. And now, when they hear your name, everything changes. Their stomach drops. Their hands feel uneasy. Their voice loses confidence. Because deep down, they know the truth. They didn't just hurt you. They helped create the version of you they now fear. So let's talk about what really happened when they started making calls, sending messages, and trying to find information about you. This is bigger than people refusing to speak. This is about people refusing to remember, refusing to relive the moment they looked into your eyes after everything they did, and saw nothing they expected. No anger, no tears, no begging, just calm, sharp, unforgettable clarity. The kind of look that says, I understand you now, and I will never forget what I saw. The kind of silence they cannot understand. The kind of presence that makes them realize they were never dealing with a victim. They were standing in front of a mirror that reflected exactly who they were. And that truth stayed with them, burned into their minds. No matter how far they run, they can't escape it. Here's what really happened. They picked up the phone. They typed the message. Hey, I'm trying to understand what happened with that person. You knew them well, right? What's the story? And when the reply finally came, it was almost always the same. Avoidance, deflection, nervous energy. Look, I don't really want to talk about it. Just be careful. That's all I'll say. Good luck. You'll need it. Then the conversation ended. Because no one wanted to be the one to explain the truth. No one wanted to admit what they witnessed. No one wanted to confess that they pushed someone to the edge. And that person didn't collapse. They changed. They adapted. They learned every pattern, every weakness, every game being played, and then walked away in silence, leaving everyone disturbed by the fact that there was no revenge. Because you didn't react the way they expected. You didn't scream. You didn't beg. You didn't chase revenge. You simply became unreachable. And to them, that was far worse. They wanted a story they could control, a version they could spread, Oh, they lost it. They couldn't handle it. They're bitter now. But they couldn't say that because it wasn't true. The truth is, you handled it better than they ever imagined. You didn't just survive what they did to you. You transformed it. You turned betrayal into motivation. You turned heartbreak into wisdom. You turned loneliness into discipline. And now, when they see you or even hear your name, there's a look in their eyes. Quiet fear. Because they realize they are no longer dealing with the person they once knew. They are looking at someone who rose above it all. And once someone rises, my friend, there is no pulling them back down. You cannot drag someone backwards after they've learned how to live on a level you can no longer reach. So let's be real. Let's talk about the ex who betrayed you, the friend who spread rumors, the boss who embarrassed you, the parent who walked away. Let's talk about what happens when someone asks them, so, what happened between you two? They freeze. Because how do they explain that they hurt someone who never deserved it? And instead of falling apart, that person became something they can't understand anymore. How do they admit they expected you to break, to beg, to lose yourself, but instead you disappeared into silence and returned stronger than ever? How do they tell someone, yeah, I crossed them, and now I can't sleep because I keep remembering their face? Not angry, not emotional, just calm, certain, like they already moved on while I'm still trapped in what I did. They can't say that out loud, so they say nothing, or they simply say, good luck. And that really means I don't know who they are now, but I know I wouldn't want to stand against them because the truth is you never threatened them. You never sent angry messages. You never posted about them. You never chased revenge. You just became different. You changed your mindset, your energy, your standards, your entire way of living. And that kind of transformation speaks louder than any revenge ever could. And that is what scares them more than any argument ever could. Because confrontation is something they understand. Confrontation gives them something to twist, manipulate, and turn into their own story. But transformation gives them nothing to fight. Only one painful truth remains. They hurt someone powerful and didn't realize it until it was too late. Now let's talk about why the words good luck. You'll need it hit so hard. Because it isn't a joke. It isn't casual. It is a warning hidden inside surrender. It is their way of admitting, without saying it directly, that they no longer know who you are. The version of you they once knew, the one they hurt, no longer exists. In that person's place stands someone they cannot predict, cannot manipulate, and cannot control. Someone who learned from every betrayal. Someone who gained wisdom from every painful lesson. Someone who turned suffering into strength so completely that the same people who once looked down on them now feel nervous just hearing their name. And that is not arrogance. That is not bitterness. That is what naturally happens when someone is shaped by fire while others were busy playing games. Picture this. Someone who wronged you gets asked about you. Maybe by a mutual friend. Maybe by someone new in your life doing their own research. Maybe by a future employer, a new relationship, or anyone trying to understand your past. And the person who crossed you pauses. They think carefully, because they realize they cannot speak badly about you without exposing themselves. They can't lie without sounding defensive. They can't tell the truth without exposing how deeply it still affects them. So they do the only thing left, they avoid it. I don't really want to talk about it. Just be careful. They're not the same person anymore. But what they really mean is this. I'm not the same person anymore because of what I saw after I tried to break them. They are not warning people about you. They are warning people about what happens when someone underestimates a person who turns pain into purpose. Here's the part they will never say directly. When they see you now, whether in person or hearing about you through others, there's always a small reaction. A brief pause, a quiet flinch, because you are no longer performing for anyone. You are not trying to prove yourself. You are not explaining your life. You are not defending your choices. You simply exist with a calm certainty, a quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, and I do not need your approval. And that is terrifying to people who only feel strong when others feel small. Because your strength is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is not unstable. It is the kind of strength that speaks without words because it lives inside everything you do. It is the kind of presence that makes people step back without you saying a single thing. They can feel it. They can sense it. And in that moment, they realize they are no longer on your level. Maybe they never were. They just didn't understand it until now. So yes, they asked around, and nobody wanted to talk. Because talking means remembering. And remembering means facing the truth that they mistreated someone exceptional while pretending they were ordinary. They damaged someone powerful and called it weakness. They pushed away someone rare and called it easy. And now they live with the result of that choice. Not the result of your revenge, but the result of their own emptiness. Because when you walked away, when you became quiet, when you stopped reacting, you took something with you. You took the version of yourself they believed they could always reach whenever they wanted. And without that, all they have left is the memory of who they used to be when you were still in their life. And trust me, that memory follows them everywhere. It does not let them forget. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about the moments that stay in their mind. The moment they noticed you stopped checking their social media. The moment they realized their indirect posts got no reaction from you. The moment they heard you were doing well, even thriving, when they expected you to fall apart. The moment someone said your name and they felt their chest tighten. Not from anger, but from something heavier. Regret mixed with fear. Because deep down, they know they once had access to something rare. Something genuine. Something valuable. And they ruined it for nothing. For pride. For games. For temporary satisfaction that disappeared the moment you left their life. Now they are left wondering if you ever think about them. While knowing the answer is probably no. And that truth hurts more than any argument ever could. Here's what nobody tells you about becoming untouchable. First, it feels lonely. Feels confusing. You question yourself. You wonder if maybe you are the problem. Maybe you are too much, too intense, too different. But then one day something changes. You eventually realize that being too much for people who were never enough is actually a compliment. You realize that being misunderstood by people who never cared to understand you is a hidden blessing. And then it hits you. Every person who walked away, every person who hurt you, every person who dismissed you was unknowingly helping you. They were clearing the road ahead. They were making space for better things. They were removing themselves so you could become who you were always meant to be without their weight holding you back. Once you truly understand that, everything changes. You stop caring about their opinions. You stop needing their approval. You stop replaying old pain in your mind. Because the past is where they remain. And you have moved so far ahead they can no longer reach you. Now let's talk about what good luck you'll need it really means from their side. It means, I don't know what they're capable of now and I don't want to find out. It means, I hurt them and instead of seeking revenge, they improved their life. It means, I underestimated them and now I live with that mistake every single day. Because here is the truth. Revenge is temporary. Revenge gives them something to fight against. It gives them a story they can use to justify themselves. See, I was right about them. They're bitter. They're toxic. But when you refuse to play that game, when you simply grow, heal, and move on, they are left with nothing. No excuse. No false story. No defense. Only the hard truth that they hurt someone who never deserved it. And that person became something extraordinary without them. And that truth stays with them. Quietly, slowly, permanently, So they warn people not out of care, but out of self-protection. Because if someone else gets close to you, they might see the same things your former critics saw too late. The strength, the depth, the resilience. And then they would realize what was lost. Your former tormentors cannot handle that. They cannot let others see that they once had something valuable and threw it away. They cannot let the world recognize how small, insecure, and shallow they truly were. So they avoid. They warn. They say good luck as if it is protection when really it is projection. It is their way of admitting that they needed luck to handle you, and still failed. It is a silent confession that you were always the storm, and they were never ready for the thunder. Let me tell you something about people who refuse to talk when asked about you. They are not protecting you. They are protecting themselves. Because speaking honestly about you would mean admitting they were wrong. Admitting they judged you badly. Admitting they hurt someone who turned out to be exactly who they claimed to be, while exposing themselves as exactly what you always suspected. And that truth is too heavy for them. Too real. It requires a level of self-awareness they do not have. So they stay quiet. They avoid the topic. They change the subject. And inside that silence, inside that refusal to engage, they reveal everything. They reveal that you already won. Not because you fought harder, but because you grew beyond the need to fight at all. And that, my friend, is the highest form of victory. Here's what is happening right now in real time as people ask about you. Your name is being spoken in rooms you will never enter. Your story is being mentioned in conversations you will never hear. And every single time, the response is the same. Hesitation, discomfort, avoidance. Because now you've become something they can't easily define. You're no longer the version they remember. You're not the person they dismissed or underestimated. You've become something different, something that forces them to question their own decisions. Something that makes them wonder what they could have become if they had even a fraction of your resilience. And every time your name comes up, it reminds them of one thing. They had access to something real, something rare, and they let it go for nothing meaningful. Now they carry that awareness like a weight they can't set down. While you continue forward, unbothered, unbound, and focused on your own path. So let them ask. Let them search for answers. Let them try to rebuild your story from broken pieces spoken carefully by people who don't want to get involved. Because the truth is simple. You are not who they hurt. You are not who they misunderstood. You are not the version they left behind. You are what came after. Stronger, sharper, more aware. You are the result of everything you survived. And that's why the phrase good luck, you'll need it carries so much weight. Not because of you, but because of what it says about them. It's not a warning about you. It's a reflection of their own experience. A quiet admission that they once encountered someone they couldn't fully understand and only realized their value after losing access to them. And now they live with that realization. While you live differently, not seeking approval, not chasing explanations, not returning to what broke you, just moving forward. Clear-minded, unshaken, focused, and that final realization that you are not coming back to the old version of anything, that's the part they struggle with the most. Not to give them closure, you're just gone. And that absence feels louder than anything you could have ever said. They keep checking, wondering if you'll return, respond, or reopen a door that is already closed. But you don't, and you won't. Because you learned that some doors are meant to stay shut, some people are meant to stay out, and some chapters are never meant to be rewritten once they end. They still try to find traces of you in small ways. A quick social media check, a question to mutual friends, a casual, How are they? Said like it means nothing. But every attempt leads to the same result, nothing. No reaction, no response, no sign of the person they once had access to. You are no longer available in the way they expect, and that silence becomes something they cannot control or understand. You are not performing your healing for anyone to see. No quotes, no hints, no explanations. You are simply living quietly, fully, and independently. And that alone unsettles them. Because they were used to access, used to reactions, used to matching in your emotional world. Now they don't. And the fact that you removed them without noise or drama is what they struggle to accept. But here's what they misunderstand. You're not ignoring them out of anger or to send a message. You've simply outgrown the need to respond. There is no energy left for cycles that no longer serve you. And in that stillness, in that calm indifference, you've reached a level they can't reach back to or pull you from. You're not silent because you're bitter. You're simply existing on a different frequency now. You've stepped into a space where their noise doesn't reach you anymore, where their opinions no longer interrupt your peace. It's not arrogance, it's evolution. It happens when you stop chasing validation from people who never offered understanding, when you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, and when you finally release the need to be seen by the wrong eyes. You didn't become cold, you became clear. And clarity is often misread as cruelty by people who benefited from your confusion. You stopped negotiating your worth with those who were never qualified to measure it. You stopped over-explaining your intentions to people who were already decided to misinterpret them. In that stillness, there is no anger left to prove anything, only awareness that not every voice deserves access to your life anymore. So when they say, "Good luck, you'll need it," what they're really expressing is discomfort with what they can no longer reach. It's their way of processing the fact that they misjudged you, that they tried to define you too early, too easily, and too confidently. And now they're left with the realization that you didn't stay in the version they created, you evolved beyond it, leaving them to sit with their own assumptions. Because that's the truth about transformation. When someone grows beyond what others expected, the distance becomes permanent. You don't shrink back to make others comfortable. You don't revisit spaces that required you to lose yourself. You move forward, and in doing so, you become something they can only look back on, never influence again.